That I am a compassionate person. I care very much about other people. I want to see people happy and shine. And um, I'm also very determined, very resilient. I've fallen down so many times, but I find like an awe in the fact that it never jades me. Like I'm always able to find that reason why I need to get up and I need to fight. And at first, it was like I was being hard on myself, like internally, like,
Yeah.
if I did something wrong, it was like I was beating myself up mentally. And it became like almost mental abuse. And I
Mm-hmm.
had a conversation with my sister Carrie, and I was telling her a little bit about my journey and the fact that I'm so hard on myself. And she's like, no, 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 that's not why you are where you are. You are where you are because of you, not because you're being hard on yourself. So
Mhm.
work on that part and all will fall into place. So once I was able to learn that that was actually a bad thing to do, I
Mhm.
started to rely more on like the inner core of what I put out to the world,
Yeah.
kind of putting it back into me
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
that I can continue to give from a full cup and I'm not emptying my cup and then feeling like, oh, but nobody's there for me. And
Exactly.
when I'm down, it's just like I no longer feel that way. Like I give without feeling depleted,
Mm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um.
Because you're not looking for validation or from anyone, and that's the most
Hmm.
important thing. The most
And
important thing is to
it's like
validate yourself.
orgasmic when you get
Mm.
there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it
Like
is.
it's such a good feeling. Like I can't even put it in words because I never knew. Like as
Mm.
a child from being little to maybe 2 years ago, literally, I was a people pleaser.
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I filled my cup by making
Mm-hmm.
others happy. And I never understood that that was like the wrong way to live.
Mhm.
So it was like euphoric to
Yeah. Yeah.
find
Yeah.
the answers and like actually understand the deeper meaning and that each one of us has a purpose. No matter how small, how big, if we can all just tap into the purpose, we can make this world like such a better place. Even if everybody isn't in tune and everybody doesn't get in line, it's okay because those
Mhm.
people are designed to be that way.
Yeah.
You have to see a struggle. You have to, you know what I mean? Everything can be
Mm-hmm.
perfect and rainbows.
What
I
was
know.
the
But if
moment that moment for you to like make that change? Like what was that breakthrough moment to like, I can no longer uh continue this way because I'm hurting myself and I'm drowning.
so, there was a few moments.
Okay.
The first moment I want to say I was 19, and I tried to commit suicide.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually in a coma for 4 days. And
Mm.
when I came to, the
Did you
first thing I
remember
thought
anything in that
about,
comment? I'm sorry.
say
Yeah,
that
Did
I
again.
you
was.
did you remember
I was
and
gonna ask
when people
after.
get in a coma, I always say, did you remember
Yeah.
anything in the coma?
So
Go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't
Uh,
recall anything
Okay.
at
okay.
all. Like it was just black.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
when I came to, I was really, really dizzy and really messed up
Yeah.
because like the meds were still in the system.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking about my son because the reason I was such in a bad spot was because I lost my mom
Mhm.
really young and it
Yeah.
was like in a traumatic way. And I had my mom and my dad in my home, my sister, and then like overnight, it was like
Yeah.
family's gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
My sister's going through her own thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make sure she's okay because again, I'm a people pleaser. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
sure everybody's okay and never tuning into the fact that I was broken and I was hurt.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that was like the first one. Didn't really recognize it, kind of got it together because I thought about my son. And if I was going through so much pain because my mother wasn't here, how would I do that to my son?
Right.
So
Mm.
that was like the reason why I never tried that again. It was just like, I have a son. He
Right.
cares
Yeah.
about me. And if I'm in anguish, I don't want to leave him in anguish.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Um, the I think the straw that broke the camel's back was I went into like a really deep depression.
Mhm.
Mm.
Um, like I would go through like anxiety attacks. Like I would be sitting down absolutely calm and my heart would just start racing.
Yep.
So like my
Mm.
body was already letting me know something's wrong. I
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
didn't know how to read my body at the time. So I
Right.
went through such a deep depression. Like I wouldn't come out of my room. I would do things for my kids. Like I would wash clothes, I would clean, I would cook. Pero después I'd be in the room,
You.
Yeah.
wouldn't come out the room. And my 12-year-old came in the room one day and she's just like, I'm noticing you're really sad. That's not really like you. So I kind of started doing the mirror exercise
Yeah.
Okay.
from that
Guru?
point. Yes,
Mm.
guru. She taught me the mirror exercise. And it's basically an exercise where you stand in the mirror and it's different interval, like a
Mhm.
different time interval. So at the
Yeah.
Yeah.
beginning, you start with 1 minute and you ask
Mhm.
yourself, who are you?
Mhm.
And for a minute, you just keep repeating the same thing. And then for another 5, you're quiet and you
Yeah.
listen to yourself and you'd be amazed at the
Yep.
things
Yeah.
because it started
Those are
very
my
negative.
favorite.
Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
me tell you,
Yeah,
it
Mhm.
yeah.
started very negative, and it got to a place where I was like, well, damn, girl, you ever gonna give yourself some credit?
Yeah.
Like you
Right.
made it this far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then it started to turn and manifest into something super beautiful and things that I never gave myself like the second or the chance to say, you're human, be compassionate, it's okay, you're still here, keep
Mhm.
going, keep climbing.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
most importantly, you have people that watch you. Because not only do my kids look up to me, which I think is like such an honor, my
Yeah.
nieces and nephews, I have people in the community that look up to me. So I know that I have this deeper purpose to be either an example
Yeah.
or a footprint or a blueprint for someone else
Definitely.
to say, you know
Yeah.
what, I remember when she was down. I
Mhm.
remember when she was not okay. And look at her.
Yeah.
If she could
Mhm.
do it, maybe I could do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that person is you. You know,
Mm,
that person is you. I mean, because you started doing the mirror exercise and you started seeing everything what everybody else started seeing too. Eventually, as you start to build yourself up, so as you continue to start to build yourself up, everybody started noticing like, oh wow. But I think also too, you touched on it that your kids saw it first, like how awesome you are and everything you've been through, and now you're seeing like your who and what you are by doing the work. So
And that's the only way you're gonna see who and what you are. You gotta
yeah,
and it's
practice.
so
hard.
yeah, well, of
Oh,
course. That's
which
why
is
people
why
stop. That's why people
that's why
stop.
people don't want to do it.
That's why
That,
they
It's
don't want to do
that.
the work or they just point the
That
that,
finger
is
to everybody
hard. It
else.
is hard. You gotta
I'm this
fucking
way
work.
because of you. And there's just
Yeah, you
like it's
gotta
easy
go
to
through
do
your
that, to be
shit.
the victim,
Yep.
which was taught to by Guru.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, you are when people when I hear people talk and they say like, to it feels great and like, other people noticing and it's great to be an example and and it's funny because they what you're seeing or what they see is a mirror of themselves.
Yeah.
So here we are like so happy that other people are seeing it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really not about them, which is also great that they are seeing it, but it's about you seeing you as
Mm-hmm.
that way.
Mm-hmm.
That becomes more effective,
Mm-hmm.
where like we start putting emphasis like, well, if I keep on working on myself, then I feel like this is part of my purpose and I'll reach other people. It's like, no, the more you work on yourself, the more you reach you.
Yep.
And everybody else is gonna see that. And it's like it's effective, and
Mm-hmm.
very like great, they're gravitated.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
yeah, like my daughter is very spiritual.
Mhm.
She's like into the angel numbers,
Yeah.
and she's always like,
Yeah.
"Mom, I got this," and
Mhm.
1111 and 222, and it's cool like to see her
Yeah.
manifesting on her own because
Yeah.
so she's been around Guru as well
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
has picked up little things here and there, but not consistent enough to where she actually has the knowledge and she's hungry for it.
Mhm.
Mm.
And I feel happy that I was able to meet the spiritual family
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
have that influence because it's also touching my children.
Mm.
Mhm.
And that I can't even, like, there's no words, there's no
Yeah.
Yeah, I
gratitude.
agree.
That's
Yep.
just like an opening to like a gate that we didn't even know existed.
Right.
Facts.
What was the steps that you started to do after this breakthrough of like, I'm no longer going to please everybody else, I'm going to start pleasing myself? What was the steps? You did talk about the mirror exercise, but what was some other further steps that you started to work on to shed uh this old version of you and to learn and grow? Because what's great is like we didn't get into in this conversation, we didn't get into yet your careers,
I
other
know
stuff. We
nothing.
got right into it
The
of like,
spirit. That's
which is like the
that's
The
the
a
meat.
best.
transformation of a human being,
But
right?
that's
Which is
yeah.
great.
Because that's the thing. So
Right.
my career is always, I identified with my career. Like that was my
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
identity.
A lot of people. Yeah.
Yep.
Really. And I didn't even realize that. But
Mm.
my career gave me a sense of wholeness.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And when I noticed that I was depressed and all that stuff, I literally left everything behind. I left my
Mm-hmm.
career of 10 years.
Mm.
I left where I lived. I
Mm.
separated. with my partner.
Yeah.
Like shock, like everything was like brand new. Pissed a lot of people off along the way and still am doing so because they don't get it. They don't understand
And then
why I am the way I am because I was different before. So for them, it's like, oh, mira esta, who she thinks she is. And it's just like, no. Now I know who I am.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. You got a gold plate right behind you for the Kit Carrot. I'm like, who is this bitch?
Holla.
Showing off.
And a gold mirror. That's the
gold plated walls.
We like the gold. But yeah, I pissed a lot of people off. Like
that sure happens
all the time. And at first I didn't know how to deal with it because coming from a place of people pleasing to now pleasing myself. Now authenticity is a big thing. So I had to learn how to be authentic to me.
Right.
So let's say I got invited somewhere. I would literally have to go close myself somewhere and ask myself, do you really want to be there?
Oh, it's the worst.
Oh, it is the worst.
Hate
because
that.
the answer was no.
Yeah.
All the time. So I used to love being around people. When my mom passed, I had to be around people. I couldn't be by myself. I don't know what it was, but I couldn't be alone. It was like sitting with my thoughts was too much. I couldn't do it. So I had to escape. Now that I've grown, I love to be alone. Not that I hate to be around people, because I think hate is like such a strong word, right? But I love to be alone.
Facts.
Well, I think
people don't get it.
Yeah, no,
they're like, come out, and I'm like, well, for what? I got work to do.
Yeah, it's like you're enjoying this new version of yourself, so you're enjoying your own company, which is a beautiful thing. And then two, you're also very guarded of everybody that you shed off, that you're not so welcoming of different energies coming around you. So you want to protect that. So you're aware of like who you want around you.
Plus,
so I'm glad
honest,
you brought that
you're
up.
not gonna be around. You don't want to be, if the people are fake, you don't want to be around that. For what? That's a waste of time.
So I'm glad you guys brought that up, because I had a group of my friends over for like a dinner. One of my friends' grandfather passed away, and after the funeral, we all headed here and we cooked. It was nice. Great dinner. But after everyone left, I'm mopping with ammonia and I'm saging and all this stuff, right? So my sister comes over and she's like, yeah, but if you feel like you have to do that, don't enter them into your threshold. Because what's the point of having to do all this ritualistic stuff if you're not sure who you're around? So it's just best not even to let them in your space, because you're allowing that energy in regardless. Even if you sage and do all that stuff, you're still allowing that energy in. So then I had to check myself once again, because it's constant checking yourself. You're never there. You've never arrived. You're always learning and evolving. And
that's
I
the
fucked
point
up,
of it
and I got to get this right. And oops, I didn't mean to say that. You know what I mean? So it's a constant just being aware of you, what you're doing, what you're saying, how you come across. And not so much how you come across, like, do people like you? That's not important. People don't like you. Okay. As long as you're not doing something to like maliciously do something to someone, you're fine. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. If they can't respect that boundary, then they don't belong there. I had read this, I was reading a book, and it was something about like, if I give you boundaries, it's because I want to keep you in my life. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that. I don't know, because boundaries are new for me. So my sister always said I knew nothing about boundaries, and she's absolutely right. I knew nothing. If someone said, Joe boy, I'm coming to you, okay.
Bang,
I could have been not in the mood. I could have been sick, but I'm gonna get up, and because they're coming.
And also
Now
that's
that
a Dominican thing and a culture thing too. So so it's like that's how we was raised. So we feel like we got to be that way. And if we feel like we can't be honest with ourselves, like, I'm just not in the mood, don't be like that, that's rude. So it's like it's built in. I was like, no, what's rude is that I'm not honoring how I feel right now. And it's okay to be like, I don't want them to come over, or I don't want to come to my room and say hi. I have a mood. I'm in a mood right now.
My daughter taught me that. My daughter taught me that, sadly. So she's like, no, mom, if I don't feel like it, then I shouldn't have to. And then my son, who's going to be 21, chimed in too. And he's like, no, mom, she has a point. And it's just like, humbled, because they're my teachers too. So that's another thing. It's like, everyone who's placed in your life comes with a reason, season, or lesson. Not all people are there to stay, but your children are your teachers.
Yep.
they're almost like mirrors also
Yeah.
of yourself,
Mhm.
of different parts of yourself too.
Mhm.
So as I watch them and I see parts of myself, it's like, okay, I know how to cultivate that because I know things that weren't done for me, or
Mhm.
vice versa. Like my dad came from Dominican Republic and he stayed here for about a week.
Mm.
And I guess he was watching me, right?
Yeah.
And at the end, when I took him to the airport, he was like, I gotta commend you because like you're really like a good mom. Like you read to your kids, you're on top of your kids. And I probably didn't mean to say it, right? Because I thought about it after, like, damn, should I have said that? But I was just like, it's things I didn't get from my parents.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, he gave me
Truth.
that look, but I hope that he understood
Right.
deeper
Yeah.
because I feel like that's part of his journey
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
him not to repeat. So he doesn't have to
Exactly.
come back to
Right.
learn again.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's like things that I didn't get, I want to make sure that I give to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, I try to find like a balance. I haven't found that balance yet.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of us that do that, like, well, I didn't have it, so I want to give it to my kids. We overindulge.
Right.
Yeah. That's
So
another.
I'm trying to find the happy medium to like not spoil them too much
Yeah.
Mhm.
to where they feel entitled.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I can't stand entitled adults. Like
Yep.
the
Yep.
thing
Yep.
boggles my mind.
Yep.
Mhm.
So
And
I
that's
don't
how
want my
like a lot of
children
the
walking out
generation
there
That-
feel
feeling
like,
like you need to, because no, the only person that needs to is you.
yeah.
Word.
Yep.
They have
Nobody
to learn
else.
how to
And
earn
that's what a
their
lot of the generation
everything,
now
'cause
is like
that's
that.
how it. Yep.
They feel like they don't have to
They
work for
serve with a
anything. It should
silver
be
spoon.
it should be in
Mhm.
there. Everything should be given to them.
Mhm.
So, but let's touch on that where like the things of like, you want to give, like there was a moment where you told your dad is like, well, I wanted these things growing up, right? And I think as we get older, we realize that, our parents are human people too. And, they are a reflection of what they learned and what they had, and they pass that on. And here
It's
you
all they
are
know.
being a parent, and like now you're like, well, I'm gonna take certain things that I learned from them and things that I didn't get. I'm gonna pass that on to you know, my kids. And I feel like it's always like you can always learn from it, grow from it, and become better, or you could just be bitter and like always blame them and
And
crucify
repeat the
them
cycle.
and repeat the
Word.
cycle.
Mhm.
And I think that's a great thing that like it sounded like you had to learn, right? And it wasn't no shade to him. It was like, well, I accepted the fact that I didn't have these things, and it would have been great. Um,
Well, it wasn't
how,
that beautiful.
right.
It wasn't that beautiful.
So yeah. So how would
How
You
you?
made
did
it seem very beautiful, but yeah, I was angry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was
All
an
right.
angry
How did
little
you deal
girl,
with that?
a
Right.
very
Yeah.
angry little girl, because I felt like, so my parents were amazing people, human beings still.
Right.
And my mom worked a full-time job, and then she had a side business, and my dad was writing for the newspaper, and he was always like doing PR work. So it was a lot of we're have this weekend and that this weekend. So there was not a lot of time for us,
Right.
Gotcha.
right? We
Yeah.
kind of took on personas of doing floral arrangements for my mother or decorating, being
Mhm.
part of whatever they were doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was lucky to have a sister who maybe understood things deeper than I did at the time.
Yeah.
She taught me how to read, how to write, how to do my rollers. Like everything I know, I learned from my sister. Not
Wow.
because my parents said, "Ven, Onicela, siéntate, let me teach."
See.
Yeah.
Everything I learned was from my sister.
Oh wow.
Like literally everything.
That's a
So
beautiful
she was like
relationship.
a mother before she was a mother.
Mhm.
And what's crazy, right, is that when we lost our mother,
Mm.
she's not my mother because she will never be, but till this day, she's like my mother.
Yeah.
Oh
Like
wow.
I will call her and run by things, and like if I have to make a decision or I'm not sure or I need an ear, that's who I call, because
Mm.
it's crazy, but I can hear my mother in her.
Yeah. Well, that's why you guys chose each other too
Yeah.
in this lifetime,
Yeah.
because of this bond that you guys had in other lives. That you guys were so close. So in this life,
Did you ever find out with Guru what was your connection before you and Flower? I call her
No.
Flower.
she
Okay.
probably was her mother in the past
That's
life.
what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking that it
Yeah.
could have been something like that,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
even to this day, it's like I always wanted to please as a kid.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm over the pleasing factor, right?
Mhm.
But I still want to make her happy, if that makes sense. Like I
Okay.
Of
still
course,
want her
yeah.
to be proud of me. I
Mm.
still want her to be like, that's my sister.
Yeah.
Mm.
And she's
Because it
always
means a
felt like
lot
that.
to you. Yeah.
And she's
Mhm.
always felt like that. Even like when I went through my troubled track,
Yeah.
she's always said it like, girl, you're a monster, you're a
Yeah.
beast. I was just waiting for you to get it.
Mm.
You know what I
Mm.
mean? And it's just like I see her, and Carrie was like a shell. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like the boastful kid.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
out there. I'm like, what's up? How
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
Yeah.
doing? Carrie's like, listen, everybody likes you.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, you're awesome. And this, but
Mhm.
she was very shy growing up. Like
Mhm.
Mm.
she was the kid that was like in the room studying. And I'm like, let's go play outside. And she was like, no, I gotta study. And I used to find her so weird. I used to be like,
Yeah.
this girl, what is wrong with her? Why?
Yeah.
Why? I get it now, right? But
Yeah.
at the time, I was like, why is she doing this? Like, come have fun with me. And she's like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
no, you guys aren't fun. So I found her her growth and her path as inspiration for me because she was such a shell. And I've literally watched her come out of the shell.
Mhm.
Like she don't take shit from people and she's
Mhm.
gonna speak her piece if she feels
Yeah.
like it.
Yep.
That wasn't her when we were kids.
Mhm.
I was the one that was like, what you said to my sister?
Mhm.
Say it again.
Yeah.
And she'd be like, Ani, Ani, stop. She'd be like, nah, because you're my sister.
Yeah.
But she's definitely like probably one of the biggest influences in my life. And I owe a lot. Not that I owe her anything, because I don't owe her. I'm here for my own journey and my own path.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm definitely grateful
Mhm.
that
Yes,
I was
Lord.
placed
Mhm.
to have that surrounding and that support
Mhm.
and someone to look up to
Yeah.
as well, because she was the one that introduced me to the spiritual family. And I feel
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
that was the reason why I grew.
Yeah.
If
Mhm.
that connection hadn't been made, I would have still been running around like everybody else in the cycle and not noticing that I'm in a
Yeah.
cycle.
Yeah.
What do you do to as you continue to grow? Of course, you get challenged to of your old ways. What do you do to stay in that path and also to mute or not pay as much attention to those voices of saying that you're not enough or being so hard on yourself?
So I do a variety of things. Working out is definitely
Mhm.
like probably number one.
Mm.
Um, I feel like when you're working out, it gives you time to process your thoughts, your mind, your body, everything is connected.
Yeah.
Um, I swear by yogi teas. I don't know if you guys
No, what's
drink
Yogi
that?
them
tea.
or have heard of
Oh,
them.
Yogi
I
tea,
love.
the
I drink a
brand.
lot of teas. Yeah. Yeah.
I
It's a brand.
love,
I
like,
know.
It's a
Yeah.
brand.
I swear
I
by
actually get
them.
them from like I get like a Native American thing, like the actual herbs and stuff like that
Oh,
from a
okay.
farm.
Mm.
So I'll be mixing up
Yeah,
different types and
different
reading up
types of
like
That's
tea all
awesome.
day.
yeah,
Tea all day.
But
yeah.
yeah, like I swear by those because each tea has like a little
Little
message.
message.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And now what I find insanely cool is that I receive messages now that
Mhm.
I'm like more in tune and more with myself.
You're open, yep.
Yeah.
I'm able to see messages and I'm able to understand them now, where I always had a strong intuition, but I thought everybody was like that. So
Yeah.
I didn't think that that was special or
Mhm.
that I was different.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought, oh, this is normal. So I would like shrug it off, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Now
yeah.
that I'm more whole and
Yeah.
in my own right, I'm able to receive messages, and even like Chinese food, the little Chinese cookies, I'll
Oh,
break it
Yeah.
open
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
a message for me. And it's just like,
Yeah.
but how?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, have I been missing this stuff this whole entire time?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have.
You have. I
I
mean,
was like, like
That's
really?
why, like Guru
Yeah.
tells us, everybody has that gift, has a gift, and it's just up to you to open it. And once you more in tune with yourself, then you'll be able to see even more, because we get messages everywhere, music, walking on the street and you see a sign.
A
Oh,
sign. Yep.
got
Yeah.
it, got it. Somebody's walking down the street and they have a t-shirt and it says something, and it's you're like, oh shit, got it, thank you.
Yep.
So many
Like
things.
I was telling you, when I first moved down to the city, I couldn't find a job
Mhm.
for a while. It took me about 4 months.
Yeah.
And not that a job makes me, but I have children and I got to pay
Right, of course.
bills.
Yeah,
And,
of
so that
course.
was like a priority. And in the midst of it, I'm in my head one day and I look up and the bus stop, it says, you got this. So I was just like,
Mm.
got it. I was like, got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
I do got it.
Right. And those
Yeah,
So
and
those little things help
No,
me kind of keep
definitely.
myself back in check.
and that
It also showing you that you are on your path too, because you're recognizing it and you're like, okay, so it's just giving you confirmation, a stamp of
Mhm.
approval, like, okay, keep doing what you're doing. And you're
And
hearing
that's
and
kind of what
listening to
keeps
it.
me on the path is
Mhm.
those
Yeah.
little confirmations, those little signs that you're on your way.
Mm-hmm.
What
Like,
what helped you? Because you touched something that's so scary, that you left everything about, I
That's
don't know,
right. Your move.
6 7 months ago. I don't know, recent. It's very recent. So you left your job of 10 years, you left your relationship, you left where you live, and you have kids, right? A lot of people won't do these decisions, right?
Especially when they have
e-
children. 'Cause
even
they're
when
like,
they have
oh, they
children,
think about the kids. Blah, blah,
people
blah.
won't even do that shit even if they had no children, they have a great job,
True.
they still don't
Oh,
want it. Like, they, to make that move is so tough.
yep.
Now, if we add your circumstance to it, it's even tougher, right? And everything is like, all the odds are against you, and you're like, yo, there's no way you should be able, you should do this. This is not smart.
Mhm.
But you still went forward, with this. And of course, things are turning around because you had the messages, you being guided. But what helped you during those months to like make that decision? And now there's no turning back. You already did it.
my kids.
Okay.
Um,
You were gonna say that.
I grew up in a household where it was the typical Dominican household. My mother catered to my father. The food had to be at the table at a certain time. She
Mhm.
worked and had a business, mind you, but
Mhm.
everything had to be regimented, and I just didn't feel like that was happiness.
Yeah.
Mm.
I didn't feel like that was authenticity. And in my particular situation, I honestly saw myself as my mother. Like I saw the mirror, I saw me repeating the same cycle that I
Cycle.
disliked as a kid.
Yeah.
And so I looked at my children and I'm just like, how do I do that to them?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it no longer became of, oh, but the kids, because the kids are going to be okay.
Yeah.
If he's
Mhm.
going to be a father, he's going to be a father. If I'm going to be a mother, I'm going to be a mother.
Yeah.
They're going to be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it became like do or die at that point.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
either killing yourself and then you're going to take your children down with you,
Mhm.
or you're going to put your pants up and suit up and you're going to do what needs to be done, which is always the difficult stuff.
Yep.
No one wants to do the hard stuff, but you have to. Like, in order to grow and in order to arrive, right, as I call it,
Yeah. Yeah.
even though you never arrive, but I call it arrive.
Yeah. An
You
awakening.
have to do the hard stuff, the stuff that you're afraid to do. You have to just jump.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I jumped. And
Good.
when I tell you I'm at peace,
Mm,
I've
that's
never
the
felt
word.
more at peace in my life. And I didn't have a job.
Yeah.
I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills. I didn't know nothing,
Mhm.
right? But I was at peace.
Mm,
And that to
really
me was
important.
very deep and resonating, because how can everything around me be in disarray and not
Mhm.
connected, but I'm okay?
Yeah.
I'm okay. My kids are okay.
All right.
Literally, like a beat was never missed.
Right.
So
Mm,
in a way, I feel like they even saw it. So I
yeah.
don't know if it was
Of course
like
they
my
did.
unhappiness in the situation, or maybe they
Yeah.
just, because kids are in tune, they know a
Oh
Right.
lot more
yeah.
than we give them credit for.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they knew. I think they picked up the fact that it wasn't just the greatest situation.
Yeah.
Um, like one day, my daughter came home and she's like, "I don't want to be brown." She was at her grandparents' house, and
Mm.
she's like,
Mm.
"I don't want to be brown."
Mm.
My
Oh
grandma
wow.
told me I'm brown today, and I'm like, "You are brown. Look at your mom."
Yeah.
And that was like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
I gotta get the hell out of here. Like, this is
Yeah.
not okay.
Yeah.
For my child's grandmother
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
tell her, "Oh, you're brown," like
Mhm.
it's a bad thing. We
Oh
gotta
my
go.
God.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, needless to say, I don't feel bad. Um, I do try to meet with the dad halfway.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
I'll like drop them off and he'll bring them back, or vice versa, because I
Right.
definitely want them to have the best
The
of the both
relationship.
worlds.
Right.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
try
of
to be as
course.
cordial. It's not that easy because he's still stuck in the feelings and the,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's like I create boundaries and he's constantly trying to break them. And it's just like,
Right.
Yeah.
dude, I'm trying here. Like,
Yeah.
meet me halfway. And he's like, but
Yeah.
I'm hurt. And
Yeah.
it's just like, I'm hurt too, but I'm not
Yeah.
taking it out on you. Like,
Yeah.
your job is to figure out your accountability in the situation. Take
Right.
your
Definitely.
accountability so you don't repeat it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have accountability in the situation. I enabled things.
Yeah.
You
Mm-hmm.
understand? We didn't get to where we were by yourself.
Yeah.
Takes two.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
it's like I try to explain that to him, but everybody has their own journey and everybody has their
Yeah.
own path.
But
And
also, it's like also you being tested to go back to the same old
Yeah.
cycle where like I said, I don't know his journey, but it seems like in this moment, you guys need to be where you at to individually work on the things you need to work on.
I
And if you
agree.
stop that growth prematurely, then you will go back to the same old mess. It will feel different in the beginning, but go right back to the same tracks that it left.
Yeah.
So it's best to be on this new thing and, work through the emotions and most importantly, work on yourself. Now that's the biggest test, right? Because then people may do things for the other person. Oh, I'm doing this. You see, I'm in therapy, or I'm doing this. Well, now
Yes.
you're doing things for
That's
the
what it
wrong.
became.
You're
Yeah.
doing things for the wrong reasons. So
Yeah.
therefore,
But that's what it became.
you're not learning and growing for the right reasons. So
Yeah.
therefore, you're delaying your growth. Where you have to like it's like you got to be strong for yourself, and now you got to be strong on another level to not fall for the other traps of the other person's
person.
emotions and things that they're going through, so you don't fall into that. So I commend you too for being aware of that, and this is why this helps you, because you're away from everything, so you could see
Yeah.
the steps for what they
I
are
could
very
smell it.
clear. Yeah,
I could smell it coming. I'm like, oh
Yep.
no, not today, brother.
Yeah,
You ain't
exactly.
disturbing my peace.
Yeah.
I
So
love
and
you to
you could,
death, but
yeah,
not
and you,
today.
yeah. And I
No,
think
you
that,
won't.
No,
and it's funny
that
because
takes a lot of courage to do
yeah,
too.
and it's funny that we're touching on this too, because I was having a conversation with a close friend, and he's going through a situation like that where he's moving on. They've been together for a while and they're moving on, and he's finally realizing a lot of things. He's like, I'm gonna take this. I'm taking this step, and it is what it is. And I told him, I was like, you know what? Shit happens. Life happens. You know, you just have to. Of course, you're gonna go through emotions and be angry, but the other side of it is, you know what? There was a good run. We was together for X amount of times, and now we're being civil about things. And there's a new journey ahead. And even though it's tough to realize at the moment, but there really is. And like, you know, I felt like in those type of things, like from what I was taught with Guru, like I could understand when she says, look, when she used to go through breakups, she used to celebrate. She was like, oh my God, I can't wait to see who's the next person, not to like fuck them or whatever, but who's the next person that eventually I will be with. But that first person is going to be me, right? And then eventually, if I'm blessed to meet someone else, I'm like, oh wow, I'm excited. She says, yeah, I'll have my little heartbreak or whatever, but I'm looking forward to the new journey now. And like, I can understand that. And like, as I went through my certain breakups, I was sad about it, but eventually I was like, man, I'm looking forward to what's coming, And I also have
I actually did celebrate this time.
Yeah,
nice.
Good for you, man. And you should.
We celebrated, and I didn't even know that Guru celebrated her breakup. So now it makes sense. Now I can understand that was like deeper than what I thought.
So what was your? That's great. So let's talk about that. What was your celebration of moving on? Not to say like, oh fuck.
Oh no, me and the kids had a party.
But like, you don't say, but like,
me and the kids had a party. I cooked like a whole 7-course meal, dessert, cookies, cake.
Nice.
Blasted the music. My 7-year-old loves to dance. I think in her past life she was like some type of ballerina or something, because she literally choreographs things in her head.
Nice.
So I have this big mirror in the house, and me and all my kids, with her in the front as the leader, she does the dances, and we all like try to keep up with her. So that was like our party, and it felt good. And now we kind of incorporated it to like every other day. Like I'll put on music and we all just start dancing with her, and she loves it, because if she feels like she's in control, or she's the leader of something. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
I was gonna ask you, like, how did the kids handle it at first, and how are they now? It seems like they were happy, and this is what they wanted as well.
Yeah, like it was weird, because at first I was, as a natural parent, you worry about your kids. Like, is this breakup gonna hurt my kid? I grew up with my mom and dad. I don't know what that's like. You know what I mean? So it's not like I can draw from my own knowledge and my own pool. So I was definitely super concerned. But it was not, I almost say it with like sadness a little bit, but like they never was like, oh, we want to go back, like. So it's like I said, I think they had picked it up long before I did. So to see me now in this setting, and I'm happy, and it smiles, and they're like, okay, there she goes. We got her back.
Nice.
I noticed a glow about you, and I was like, wow, Oni has this glow about her that's different.
Thank you. Everybody keeps telling me that.
It's the gold from the back. The
gold, it's the gold from the plate in the back.
So I just want to say I'm happy for you and I celebrate with you, and I'm
Thank
very
you.
proud of what you've done. It's really awesome to see
Thank
that.
you.
So
And
now,
thank you guys for being part of the journey too.
Oh,
Because
thank you.
no
watching you
problem.
guys grow, like,
Oh,
Well,
it's a
it's good to
blessing.
know that you have a job now because our the bill is in the mail. So for being part of your to be a part of your life and giving you lessons. So
Gotcha.
we'll send the invoice soon. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you very much.
so now moving forward, right? Like, how do you go about like, because you left your job of 10 years, right?
and now
You and you left that. So now we talked about the relationship you moved on and how you moving forward with that. When it comes to now a job, right? Because you said a job at one point defined you. How do you move forward now to find a job that's for you, right? You know, you got to pay the bills. You know, you got to find something. But the difference is, it's just not going to just take any type of job, right? So how do
So
you move doing all this work in yourself? How do you move along to like find out what do I really want to do or what I want to try next?
so what I was gonna say that I don't think any job will ever fulfill me in that way.
facts.
In that way that it's like gonna give me an identity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so one of my dreams, I feel like when I was growing up, there was a lot of programs for kids. We had places to go. We had like
Yeah.
refuge. I don't feel like that
Yeah.
exists anymore.
Yeah.
So I wanted to eventually open a center where we have a pool and boxing and a
Nice.
smash room. So if you're
Mhm.
going through stuff at home and you need to like get the aggression out,
Yeah.
somewhere to come talk to somebody. Just like different types of like sensory rooms and like
Mhm.
just different things to help support children because
They need the place to vent.
life is getting hard. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we had it easy,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm saying we had it easy
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Compared to now,
agree.
yeah.
Yeah.
because the stuff that these kids go through and are exposed to,
Yep.
I'm just like,
Social
Yep.
media
It's
and
the
all that
it's
stuff.
the
Yeah.
internet. We didn't have that. I mean, at least I didn't
Well,
when I was
I
growing
had
up.
it, but it
I had to
wasn't
go to
like
the
this. Like I
libraries,
had
encyclopedias, freaking microfilms
I
and
was
mhm,
shit.
I was in
the card
AOL.
catalog.
Yeah.
Fucking yeah.
Yeah.
No fucking
I was
internet.
part of I was
I had
part
to
of that
work my ass
I was
off.
part of that thing where the technology was upgrading so fast. So I was there when AOL chat rooms existed. God damn, that was
Yeah.
a hard word for me.
That was fun when I
I
did
was
it.
I had the chat rooms, I had the dial-up internet,
Yeah.
I had and then
I
like
had that
you
later.
know porn. Like that was another thing that opened up
Mhm.
my mind. I went from VHS and now it's the shit is in the
Not
computer.
magazines.
Oh yeah, people had magazines, but in
My
my
time was magazines.
right, you have
Yeah.
magazines. And our time we had magazines like, man, that's whack. We got VHS. And in a matter of a year, yo, we got the internet to download porn. And
Yep.
like and then we had the MP3, the music. So
Yep,
everything,
yep.
a CD player, then the MP3. So
Mhm.
we was a part of right there where everything was escalating so fast, where we
Mhm.
had the internet chat rooms and all that stuff. Now kids are like,
It's
that's what
extra
they're
now.
born with.
Yes.
And when what they're born with is so elevated that it wasn't where we was at,
Yeah.
that it's more dangerous. Where
Mhm.
all this racism that we see and stuff like that, it existed to us because when I would play online, I was with kids all around the world here in the N word and all this other stuff. And we didn't see it as bullying. We laughed at it and we cursed them back out. But
Mhm.
now kids don't have that two-sided world, right? They're just born into this world of just like hate automatically. Not
Definitely.
and it's intense and just of course with everything and then the environment and the
Mhm.
people around them are just getting rotten too, unfortunately.
Mhm.
So it's definitely hard. It's harder for our children. I feel and like us growing up, we did have it fairly easy, you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
So
So
yeah, I just get nervous with them. Like, I have like timed iPad time for the kids.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, but then sometimes I kick myself in the butt because it's just like this is the way the world is going. Like everything is eventually like this virtual reality stuff scares the living
Yeah.
crap out of me.
The
Mhm.
metaverse.
I just feel like there's going to be people that never leave their house. They're going to have no
Yep.
social connection. And
Mhm.
I don't know if this is something the government is wanting to
That's.
do
I
or
think that's the
Yeah.
plan. That's
what
they
it
want.
is, right? But it scares the crap out of me. I don't
Of
want my kids
course.
to grow up in a world where they're disconnected from human
Mhm.
beings,
Mhm.
from reality, from love and existence and just being. Like
Mhm.
that takes them further away from a purpose.
Mhm.
Right.
So do you wanted it? You want your goal is to create this center.
Yes. So
Okay.
that is my ultimate goal. So obviously, I would love to do something here in New York City, but
Mhm.
I'm not. I don't see myself staying here for long.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
Only because I mean, just last week, I think there were like 6 to 8 stabbings in the train. Like
Yeah, I
this
heard
one
that.
girl was on 181st, and I guess the gentleman asked her for the
Oh.
time. She
Yeah.
ignored him. He walked away, came back. Like, I can't. Like, I don't want to be that parent because I'm that parent already.
Right.
You're not going, oh, you want to go to the store? Come on, we can go together. And my daughter be
Yes.
looking at me like, oh no,
Right.
we going. She's like, Mom, but it's 11. We going.
Yeah.
Like,
Together.
I know where I'm at. You
Yeah.
don't know where you at, but I know where I'm at.
Exactly.
So I don't want to be that parent that doesn't or can't allow their kids to have experiences that they're supposed to have because I'm afraid of what's
Of the
outside.
environment.
Yeah.
And it's only right to feel that
Yeah,
way
of course.
because of the situation you're in, the reality of it. But it's also sad too, because like, damn, in a way, I'm being protective and I have to be this way, but I'm depriving a certain area
Of independence.
of
and
independence
freedom.
that they need.
Mhm.
But they don't understand right now
How
fully
hard shit is.
how shit is. They may have an idea it's bad, but not really to the extent how you knew, because one, you lived through it and now you're seeing how worse it got. And it's
Like
and
my
it's,
first
and it's
week
like
here,
a glimpse of like what it was.
Yeah. It's
my
like
first
double.
week here, I would come upstairs and literally cry because
Wow.
everyone I grew up with are on drugs. They're like walking zombies. I've been away for so long, I didn't know.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I came back, I'm just like lost. Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
girls that are like 10 years younger than me are gone.
Mm.
And I'm just, it doesn't make sense. And I know that
Yeah.
I can't help them. I know that I'm aware because
yeah.
no one could help me.
Yeah.
The help didn't
yeah.
come until I wasn't ready to help myself.
Exactly.
You know, you can have people bring you to the water, but no one can force you to drink.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's another thing that I learned is I can't overextend.
Yeah.
I can show love. I can let them know that I don't
You have
judge
limits.
them. I don't judge them because that could have been me.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, in hindsight, if I had never left this cycle, that could have very well been me because that was my crowd. Those were my
Right.
friends.
Right.
And I would do anything. The same way I was like, oh, my sister, I would
Right.
do anything for my friends.
Mm.
And so I look at them and it's just like, that's where I could have been. Thank you very much, God.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, I get
Right.
it. I got it. I'm good.
Right.
But
And
it hurts.
It's funny how you started there and look how your journey took you to take you back here.
Yeah.
Back here where this is where you found
Yeah.
your peace and connection to yourself, but you needed to go back to the original.
There to the
home.
foundation.
Yeah.
You have to go from the beginning to
And
relearn
now-
again and
exactly.
to see the past.
And I'm glad
Full
that flower
circle.
gave me the opportunity to do
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Right, well, like you said, you have a journey there, and you already called it. Your journey there is not there. Is not. It's
It's
what's that
not
called?
long term.
Yeah, it's not long term. It's
Mm-mm.
there's a pit stop there for a reason,
Mhm.
and until you learn it, and then something else is going to open
Yep,
up where
yep.
you move on
Yeah.
to the
And
next
it's just
journey.
learning to be alone. Like I like to be alone, but I'm
Mhm.
still human. I get lonely sometimes.
Of course.
and whatever. So like my friends will invite me places, and I'll tell my daughter like, no, I'm not going. And she's
I'll
like,
share
"Oh,
with you
should
the
go."
internet porn that I used to do when I was young, going to watch and stuff like that, and probably still up from the 1996.
We see where your mind is at.
She says,
She said, "Where's Guru when we need her?"
She said, I'm human. I still get lonely. I was like, that's how I
Go
felt at
to-
13 when all the stuff was coming out. I was like, where all my VHS tapes that my mom threw out? I
Now
felt
you got
lonely.
virtual reality, so you should just pop in them.
No, that's
cats.
true. That's true. So yeah, touching on
Like-
virtual reality, right? And like the whole porn thing with virtual reality. Not only that is that someone said something very interesting. It's like, yeah, we think it's like a government thing and stuff like that. But I think it's also a part of it too, is like, you know, they know that like so many people do not that they dislike the life that they live. So now here is
wanna
an
create.
item that can create their other reality. They can
Gotcha.
escape the reality at the end. And what
Yeah.
sucks is that we're already disconnected, right, through social media and then the
And the whole
pandemic
lockdown.
and the lockdown. So now, you know, we're going through the stuff, and now virtual reality comes where everything we could recreate ourselves,
Mhm.
because we know in this reality our life sucks,
Sucks,
and we
I know.
feel that we can't recreate ourselves here because there's so many barriers and things locked around us, right? That's blocking us.
Mhm.
So, but this thing I can be whatever. So now people are going to get sucked into that even more
And what's
because they
worse
love
is-
that life rather than the life that's
yeah,
here.
but they're gonna be sucked to it. But if it's somebody who's not working on themselves and feels so shitty about themselves, that's who that's gonna tackle even more because
Right.
Mhm.
But that's like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but that's like 90% of the people, 95% on earth.
true.
There's 95% of us that's living in this loophole or doesn't thing, and
That's
there's
true.
5 of us that are
Living in our
working
misery.
on ourselves and trying to think. So that's not, I'm not great.
It's
I'm not a
sad.
mathematician, but I'm pretty sure that 95% of the world is how they see us is robots, is control.
Yep.
And they're just going to
That's so
keep
sad.
on doing it and being their own ways and stuff like that. So let's keep creating these things and be more materialistic, be more self-centered, fantasize of this life that we could do. And then now here comes this virtual reality thing.
Yeah.
So
that just sucks.
but
Their plan is working, guys. We got to make sure we go into overdrive.
it's true. It's true.
Don't get the VR for your kids. Don't do it. I don't care if they ask. I don't care if they ask. I went to the store. They didn't have it. They all out. They sold out.
You can't even do that now because they go on Google and say,
I
"Oh, but
know.
Mom,
They're
I
like,
found it.
I found it.
I got it. And I found it on sale.
It's so.
I got you a discount, Mom.
Yeah,
I got your
yep.
discount. I got your nice sale, 50% off.
Yeah. So how do you deal with this this loneliness of like, I'm you have your family around, you have your kids around, and the people that you want to associate with, how do you continue? What reminds you to stay on this path and not go back to your old ways, especially when when those loneliness happens, saying like just super honest with yourself, or it's it's a phase and you're going to keep on going on,
So I struggle because I'm super guarded. Like,
right.
I was super open and trusting growing up, and I went through a lot of stuff because of it. And so having overcome those things, I'm super guarded. So I've been here about 4 months. I've seen my friends twice. And by friends, I mean like the ones that are left that are still kind of sound mind and body.
Yeah.
So I don't really come out. If I do anything, I'm doing it with the kids. I don't know. I just don't really like people. Like, I don't know what I'm getting. I don't know who they are. It takes so long. I'm just trying to get to know myself. So that's kind of what keeps me in, like, I'm like the horse with the scopes. I can't see to the left or the right. I just see straight. And I think that's what keeps me grounded, because I have such a hunger to do the best that I can while I'm on this earth that I want it that bad. I will sacrifice going out. I will sacrifice having fun. I had fun. I did. I had fun. I had a lot of fun. I'm good on fun. My kids are fun. Cooking a meal and watching them eat it and say, "Oh my God, this is so good. And how'd you make it? And next time you make it, can I go to the kitchen and make it with you?" Like, those little things are like becoming so huge for me. Like, when my kids are inquisitive and they ask, like, things that I've been through. Like, I was arrested when I was younger. My son was about maybe 3 years old. And I share the story with my kids, which my sister judges me because I'm so open with my kids. But I feel like my mother was so guarded with herself that I didn't really get to know her.
Okay.
So I went through a lot of pain because I felt like I didn't know her. So I would tell my sister, and my sister's like, "But you know her." And I'm like, "But I don't." Like, she'll recall things that I'm like, it's just like, "But how did you know?" Like, one Christmas, so my sister and my mom were closer because my sister was older in age, so they could relate more. And for Christmas, my sister got to wrap gifts with my mom, and every year I was like pushed to the side. So this one year I was like, "Oh no, they're gonna keep playing me," because I was that kid. I was that kid that I was just like, "Oh, it's hot. I'm a touch it because I want to know what's hot." So this one year I got like super upset because they kept wrapping gifts and I wasn't included. So I grabbed an item that I knew each and every one of them loved. I took it and I wrapped it and I put it under the tree. And for this whole month, they're like, "Have you seen this shoe? And have you seen this thing?" And I'm like,
That's funny.
"No idea." Christmas morning, I gave them their stuff and they're like, "Onicela, Onicela! I was like, well, I wanted to wrap gifts too, and I want a Merry Christmas too. But yeah, I was like, really? So I would constantly do stuff like that because it was just like, no, you're not gonna leave me out, and I'm gonna be included, and
Yeah.
you know that I want you to see me,
Yeah.
you know. And my sister always got a different reaction, so I dealt with like rejection issues, I guess. So that's why I think I
So you
became
wanted
such a
to
people
be,
pleaser because
Right.
I
you
always
wanted
wanted
to
that
be
attention from
accepted.
my mother that I never felt that I got,
Yeah.
which
Mhm.
is crazy because my mom died when my son was 3 months old.
Oh
And the
wow.
day I gave birth, I was up in Albany, New York. She was here in the city.
Mhm.
I gave birth. I call her on the phone. I'm like, hey, he's born, the ounces, the time, and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Um, I took a nap because they took the baby to like get cleaned and weighed
Yeah.
and all that stuff. By the time I woke up, that woman and Flower were sitting in my room with the baby. How they got there that fast, no clue because they
Mm.
didn't drive. They took the bus.
Mm.
No clue, but they got there. And from that moment till that third month, my
Mhm.
mother saw me
Mm.
for the first time in my life. So I feel
Nice.
like God does things in like mysterious, beautiful ways. And
Yeah.
he knew that I was
Yeah.
missing that. So he made sure to
Yeah.
give me that before her exit.
Right.
Like my mom never said, I love you. But the
Yeah.
day before she got on that flight, she told me and my sister, I love you.
Mm.
Oh,
And
so
it
she
didn't
part
seem
of her is like,
strange.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like part of her knew, but I didn't know. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and
Her
it didn't seem
spirit knew.
strange. Like to never hear my mother say I love you and then hear
Mhm.
it that day.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, I love you too. Because I'm just
Yeah.
naturally compassionate. I'm naturally loving. So it was just like,
Yeah.
I love you. But
Yeah,
then
yeah.
after, I was just like, holy shit.
You know, but that's crazy though.
Mm.
It seems like you got so many key moments that you wanted from her that you could always
So-
cherish before she
Yes.
before she
Exactly. I was
went.
just gonna
No
say.
matter
But
that,
it took
yeah,
me a
of
while
yeah, even though
to
you
Yeah.
would have
understand.
wanted
Oh,
more,
afterwards, you didn't
yeah,
get it right away.
even though you
No.
probably it's natural that you would have wanted more, but she
Mhm.
gave you just enough to hold on and
Yeah,
cherish. Where
definitely.
there's a lot of people that would never that they want a couple things. They have their parents now and still don't get that,
Mhm.
or they lost their parents and wish they would have had that moment to even to have that. Where you was blessed to have something to look
Mhm.
Before
back
she
and
left,
cherish,
yeah.
you know, and
Is
then
there anything that you wish you would have told her, but you didn't before she
Yes.
left?
Um,
Which you could tell her obviously now
yeah,
because
she
spiritually
heard it.
she's
She's
with
still
you.
spiritual.
yeah, I talk to her all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Exactly.
I'm sure you do.
Just that she did enough, that
Yeah.
she made sure to give us the core principles that we were going to need. That
Mm.
although she was human and flawed, like we all are,
Yeah.
she definitely understood the deeper purpose.
Mhm.
Like I feel like I get my resilience from her.
Mm.
She didn't let things define her. She kind of was like a trendsetter in her own right.
Mm.
She didn't do things to please others as much. Like she did, she was very helpful and she wanted to help everybody, but she understood boundaries. She understood the word no. Those are
Mhm.
things I had to learn now as an adult. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So having had that example
Mhm.
helped me connect too, because I was angry for like 18 years
Yeah.
after she passed.
Of course.
Like I literally 2 years ago was when I kind of like started to see the blessings, and it took me a long time. 18 years I was angry. I was an angry girl going through life angry.
Yeah.
It's that person's fault. They didn't give me. I didn't have enough. And it was always the outward pointing of the finger until I had to be like, but you're doing the same thing to your kids. So at what point do you look in the mirror and say, wait a minute,
Yeah.
they did that, rightfully so, right? But at what point do you take accountability to be like, okay, they did that. That was their mission, their path, had nothing to do with you.
What
Don't
was
take that on to you, because then you're gonna give it to your kids.
right?
What made you realize that? What was the turning point for you? I know you mentioned there were a lot of turning points, but for you to realize, you know what, I have to take responsibility for my shit and not point fingers at other people. What was that? What was it?
Just giving of myself to so many
Yeah.
people and feeling so depleted that I had no choice but to look at myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you can only do so many things, but so many times before you're just like, you're the problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. what have you learned the most in this last 6 months of silence, being with by yourself? Something that keeps on coming constantly.
Mm.
Truth.
Mm.
Truth. I've got to say, just being real with yourself, good or bad,
Mhm.
doesn't
Mhm.
matter because we're not perfect.
Mhm.
Um, there's times, so I used to smoke weed, and there's
Mhm.
times that I get like frustrated because I got lonely or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I want to smoke, I want to smoke, and it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
you're gonna put yourself all the way back to square one
Mhm.
if you do
Yeah.
that one little thing. So it's just like, find something else. So
Nice.
I'll like start exercising, or I'll read a book, or I'll write. I like to write a
Oh,
lot.
okay.
Nice.
I
That's
like to
great.
write a lot. Writing is like my escape. Ever since I was little, I would just write and write and write. So writing is definitely my thing.
And that's
So
and
that's
that's great. And I also want to touch on that, especially now we live in society. Whatever floats your boat's fine. It just never was for me. But it seems like now society accepted weed and more into the society, and it's
And our
fine.
kids are
How,
gonna be around
yeah,
like
exactly. Our kids are around it. You know, how did that, if share your experiences, how did that block you to be where you at right now, where you made a decision to be like, I need to get off it because for whatever reason, it's
I couldn't
what.
remember my dreams.
Mm,
I was clouded, like
Mhm.
when you smoke and you blow the smoke,
yeah.
like
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
brain was literally clouded, to the point where I
Without
couldn't
some
dream.
good shit.
Like I would go to sleep and not dream. And that was like bizarre to me because
Yeah.
it's just like, and learning through Guru,
Yeah.
you get messages through your dreams. So that
Yeah,
used to
yeah.
tick me off because she's like, when you have a dream,
Mhm.
wake up in the morning and write it
Write
down
it
so you
down.
don't forget.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I wake up and I got my pen and my paper, and it's just like, but I don't remember. So it's just like, I want those messages. I wanted
Mhm.
to receive. And what's crazy is when I quit smoking, my first dream was like super traumatic.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
wish that I hadn't stopped smoking.
Yeah, yeah,
How
yeah.
traumatic it was.
Yeah.
So it was just like, shit, Guru,
Interesting.
why didn't you
Yeah.
warn me about this
Yeah.
Yeah.
shit?
Yeah.
So
That's great.
symbolically, right?
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
Yeah,
dream.
yeah. But it's funny that it was traumatic because it's like boom, this is just showing you what you were missing. In other
Yes.
words,
And I
because
learned
that's what reminded me of.
because the dream was I'm in the airplane sitting next
Yeah.
to my mom.
Mhm.
I'm
Oh.
holding her hand. The
Mm.
plane is falling and she's literally burning, but I'm
Mhm.
untouched.
Mm.
I'm unscratched. I'm untouched. So I woke up when the thing like
Yeah.
hit the impact. I
Yeah.
woke up like because I thought I
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and I called Guru
Yeah.
because I had to because I was
Or
just like, okay, I'm gonna smoke because
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
this? And she basically was able to connect the fact that I had not gotten over my mom yet,
Mhm.
and that I was still holding on to her in pain.
Mhm.
Like I hadn't found the peace and the kind of the tranquility to understand that I was blessed to have her, but it was her time. Like she already
Yeah.
completed her mission here and she's with me.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
I didn't understand those things.
Of course.
It's like
Mm-hmm.
you hear it, whatever, but it's just like,
Especially when you're
and
angry,
I
you're not
feel
open
Yeah.
her.
to that.
Yeah.
And I was an angry little girl. Oh
Yeah,
my
so you're not
God.
Yeah.
gonna feel her. You're not gonna understand that. Yeah.
I was like such a sweet kid. And then after she died, I was like, what you said to me, bitch?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think back and I'm like, ay, Dios mío. I'm glad that my kids didn't get to know that part of me. I mean, my son saw a little
Enjoy
bit.
your
Yeah.
son.
My son saw a little bit. Um, but I was blessed in this one thing with my son. Ever since he was little, he knew who he was.
Mhm.
He
Oh.
didn't need validation.
Mm.
He didn't care about what nobody thought.
Mm.
Mhm.
So in essence, he was sent to me for me to learn that from him.
Mhm.
And I tell him all the time, like, you were like the initial savior, the initial reason why your mother was like, I gotta get up. What am I
Yeah.
doing?
Mm.
Because it's easier to give up.
Yeah.
It is. And I
Mhm.
gave up for a lot of years.
Yeah.
I smoked weed. I was out there. I was
Yeah.
Mm.
partying. I mean, Monday through Sunday, I was partying.
Oh
Mhm.
wow.
Like, I would take my son to school drunk to the point that, thank
Mhm.
God for this
Oh my
Cuban
goodness.
teacher that started to notice that I wasn't all there when I was
Yeah,
Mhm.
dropping
yeah.
him off. And she was like, listen, when you come in the morning, come through the yard. I'm going to open the side door so nobody has to see. I was like,
Oh
thank
wow.
you.
Oh
Like, it was that
wow.
bad. No, it
Mhm.
was that bad. Like, I would make sure I handle my business, but it wasn't always luxurious
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
because
wow.
I was lost mentally. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I wasn't being true to myself. I was honestly
And you were
trying
in
to escape.
pain.
I
You
was just
escaping
trying
the
to
pain.
escape. I was
Yeah.
finding
Yeah.
anything to
You
escape.
you was trying to do that virtual reality, but in real life.
Yep.
But in real life,
Yep.
word. Because like we would go out clubbing and then like 6 in the morning, I'm like, let's go to Six Flags. And everybody's looking at
Yeah.
me like, what's wrong with this girl? Like, let's go.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Like, I don't need no sleep. So it was just like all those years of running also
Yeah.
metastasized on top of the pain, on top of the
Mm.
pain. And it just got to the cap where there was nowhere for the pain to go.
Yeah.
And so I was forced to deal. It wasn't so much as like what happened to you. It was like, it was so many things that happened to me that I was
Right.
forced.
Mhm.
It was either I get it together and actually have the ability to live a life,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Because a lot of us are alive, but a lot of us aren't living.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're
Mhm.
not in the moment. We're
Mhm.
not grateful for the small things. We're
Mhm.
not in tune with, the messages or the invisible stuff. So
Yeah.
for me, the valuable stuff is the stuff that we can't touch.
Mhm.
Money, cars, clothes, none of that I care about.
Yeah.
The things that are invisible, the phone calls out of nowhere. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
The little things with my kids, like if they notice I have a headache or something and they'll come and like rub my head or like little things. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
and I take that like a message from the higher power also. Like when I get those invisible things, that's like the food to keep going.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's like when I'm digesting, like, okay, all right, now I'm ready for the next meal. And I'm ready for
Mm-hmm.
the next meal. And I want
Mm-hmm.
more. So now I've become like this greedier hoarder of growth and like
Nice.
positivity and I don't like to force my beliefs on other people. And that's
Yeah.
another reason why I kind of like to be alone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because getting to know yourself and getting to know your purpose, your passion, the things that make you tick, um, it's painful.
Yeah.
It's humbling.
Yep.
And I think if you have people around you, they become more of a distraction unless they get it and are on the same path. And even then, like sometimes you still have to have that disconnect to be able to you be on your path, I be on my path, and
Yeah.
we come together when we come together.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm just trying to lower my guard a little bit, if that makes sense, because I'm
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
super guarded to the point that I feel like I'm missing possible connections that the God may be sending to me because I'm
Yeah.
rejecting of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Okay.
people like, come hang out. No, I'm okay, thanks. Or I'm busy. Or I'll say something out like even if
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
gotta lie, like, oh
Yeah.
no, my son has something going on
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now they know
But
So
you're
I'm
also,
trying
lying
to
once this
work.
episode comes out.
Yeah, they know. They know. They
When the
know now.
episode comes out,
I
they will be
I
like,
don't come
"Oh,
out.
oh, that
she's
They know.
lying."
comes.
They're like that bitch cannot be doing something every weekend. Stop
Right,
it.
right,
Mm.
right.
And her
But
car is
also,
always parked. We
but you
see.
also have to think about like who is it that's asking you out? Is this somebody that's from the past life where you were smoking weed? Like, is
But
there's
that's the
also
thing
that
that I have a
involved
fear. I have a
versus
fear.
somebody like, oh, I'm gonna have this deep, intense conversation with this person. We're gonna have dinner and like we're gonna talk about things that we can connect with. Because sometimes you have people around you that you just can't connect on a deeper level. It's very surface, and you don't
Hmm.
want to hang out because it's like, why am I gonna hang out with this person?
Well, I
Why
don't.
am I
Yeah,
gonna, you know what I mean?
But
I
that's
think
kind of
that's.
what I'm dealing with, and
Yeah.
that's why I
So I
have
don't think
that
it's
fear
bad.
because it's
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah. I don't think
You
that's
just
nothing.
know who you want to be around and who you don't want to be around.
I personally
mhm,
don't think that's bad. I think you
I
should
don't think it's,
continue because right now you're
yeah.
building up your strength,
Yep.
and you right now you are unsure of certain things as you continue to build, and you are strong in other areas. So I think you should continue building this way until you
Mhm.
fully reach a moment where you're like, I'm good to enter this world, this other world again,
Exactly.
because you left that world. So just like a
mhm,
drug addict, you can't go back into with the old, people that you with, well, because you may relapse. So
Yeah.
it's still early. You have grown a lot, but just like with anything, you're gonna get tested back in that world. So
Mhm.
still I will agree with you to continue being that way
Yeah.
until you build your strength to a place where like I'm good. I can re-enter it, and it's not. I could get tested, but it won't be as severe. I won't budge. So
Or,
keep.
or or connect with people who are sort of like-minded, and then that
Mhm.
will help you build you up too, because it's somebody that's you're gonna learn from,
But she is, like, for instance, just doing this and
True. Yeah. No,
talking
but
to
I'm
her
saying hanging
sister.
out physical, for your
She,
sister. I mean, that's
I ain't
enough.
ready.
yeah, her,
Like, I ain't ready for the hangout yet. I ain't
yeah,
ready.
you know what I'm saying? Her
Your
sister
sister's enough, to be
doing this,
honest.
talking to Guru. So
Guru, you got
everyone
Guru.
that she
You have
associate,
us if you need to
everyone that
call.
she's associating herself with is the key people that she is needs
Mhm.
to associate her people with. She's talking about people outside of
I
that
know.
circle
I'm just saying,
where
talking in general.
where she is questioning and it is tough.
Mhm.
And I feel like she should continue to be guarded and protected of that until she
Mhm.
knows for sure, because
Mhm.
dealing with the circle she is in now is totally different from the people that from the past. And let's say they don't smoke, or let's say they wasn't from that time where she partied a lot. They may carry other things that could be sensitive to her that may be affected, or maybe they think about certain other things where she's not, they're not on the same level of how they, the
I
thought
just feel like
process.
the past people have a vision of me that's no longer.
Mm-hmm.
And so before I moved back, I knew I was moving and I had massive amounts of anxiety because I thought that once people started to see me in the neighborhood, they were just going to start ringing my doorbell.
Right.
Oh.
So I had that, like, "Ugh, I got to go back home and all
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
stuff."
Yeah.
And remarkably so, I think the growth is seen from a distance.
Yeah.
Nice.
Never happened. I have a pair of old friends that live in my building and not even they come and disturb my peace
Yeah.
because I think they notice it from a distance. And I had an older lady on my street that actually told me, like, if you don't see it, you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, you.
Yeah.
I was like, what? She was like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're like reincarnated.
Yeah.
You're even more beautiful than when you were before. And I was just like, what you trying to say? I was ugly? Like, lady.
Because bitch, you still could get these hands.
Like, that's in there.
Yeah.
I keep her tucked though. I don't like
Yeah,
her too much.
yeah.
Keep her tucked.
But
There's really no need
but
for
you
it
know-
unless we go to like war. Then I'll let her come out.
that's
Other
what I'm
than that, we're
saying.
good. She
Like,
can
no
stay
matter where
put.
you go, it's still good to always keep a little bit of hood in you, because
You
you
gotta
will need
keep
it
that.
and be street smart. It's all, no matter where you
guess.
go, it's
I guess.
always good, because that's what helps us to be open for certain situations where
Ja.
you
You
in
gotta
new
watch your
areas, you're like,
ass.
man, I know you trying to scam me right now, or like you trying to pull a
I
fast one.
guess
So
that
you know what I'm
makes
saying?
sense.
So like,
I guess that
so
makes sense.
because when it's time to throw hands or whatever, if it gets to that level,
You'll
you're
be
gonna be,
ready.
you don't want
Already.
you exactly.
Already.
You don't want to be in the middle. It's like, oh shit, what is old bitch? I got rid of her completely. Now I don't know how to throw hands. When you really need to know how to throw hands, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
No, I don't think that's something you forget. It's like riding a bike.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you got to learn how to tame
are
it and be in
instincts.
control of it. So it's
Mhm.
good to still have that old hood Oni in you. You just put it in a cage, and you
Mhm.
know it's like red alert. Where it's like right
I
now,
need you.
Russia, and
Like
Ukraine.
once I start stuttering, I already know I gotta walk away. I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta go. No good. I was on the train actually. So I rode the train twice since I got here. Probably won't be riding the train too much again.
Yeah.
But weirdo got in the cart
Mm.
and he's like sizing everybody up. So I have my keys. So I put my keys like through my fingers.
Yeah.
And there's this guy
what I
that's
mean?
sitting across from me.
See
And
what
I
I
guess
mean?
he's peeping me getting ready. Cause no,
what I
literally,
mean?
this guy's walking in front of everybody and he's sizing you up and he's sizing you up. So he comes in front of me, he sizes me up, and obviously, street savvy, you don't look
Yeah.
at them in the eyes because
Yeah.
that's invitation.
Yeah.
So I'm looking away, but I got my keys.
Mm.
And this guy's laughing from across me and he's dying. But I don't know why he's dying because I'm pissed. Like, nigga, what the
Yeah.
fuck you laughing for?
Yeah.
Like, get
Yeah.
up, do something. This fucking, you see this dude doing
Yeah,
some
yeah.
nonsense, whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess en una, he got up and he's like, and the guy noticed that like people were like onto him or whatever. So he
Yeah.
left the cart. And when he left the cart, the guy comes to me. He's like, I just want to tell me you made my day. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm so hot right now. You have no
Yeah.
idea. She was like, no, you was ready.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I was ready.
But that's
'Cause I
what
didn't
I'm
understand that he saw what I was doing. I
Now
was like,
let's
oh no, I was
say
ready.
you would have got rid of that little hood Oni in you. You
I wouldn't have been ready.
You would have been ready.
Right.
You would have been
Right.
crying. You would have turned to a white lady like, oh my God. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you,
Oh, whoa, it's me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? I want to ask you to touch on too before we move forward. you talked about these, being sitting down and having these anxiety attacks and like having your heart racing, which is something
out of left field.
yeah, like you know what I'm saying, this is like anxiety was something new for me too that I had to learn and be in control of and accept it and learn from it, in those moments, like what helped you, what I'm saying, to calm the anxiety and recognize like, oh shit, like you stood a line that like my body was even telling me that something's wrong. So how do you cope with anxiety?
So at first I thought I was having a heart attack.
Yeah.
I called Carrie and I was like, I'm dying.
Mhm.
And she's like, what the fuck? I'm like, no, I'm dying. I'm just letting you know, like, I gotta say goodbye because my heart, I think I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah.
So she's like, get a paper bag
Yeah.
and breathe into the paper bag. So I did that and it did calm. It's something about controlling your breath
Mm-hmm.
that regulates your heart rate.
Mm-hmm.
So that definitely works. What I've done with anxiety is I kind of invite it. So in my life, anxiety has always come right before a big leap or a big jump. And there's always something better on the other side. So when I feel anxiety, I'm like, okay, we're about to do something good. Like we're about to go somewhere better because I'm feeling this. So I know that I'm going to be tested in some way, that I'm going to come out even better later. So I don't push it away. I'm more embracive of it. Like, okay, I'm having a bit of anxiety, breathe. And then I check in with myself. Like, why is it that I feel that way? And I don't always know. I don't always know. I don't always have the answer. Like sometimes I'm like, I have no idea. But it's just like, okay, I feel this way. Let me go take a walk.
Yep.
Let me go read a book. Let me go write.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go play with the kids. You know what I mean? Like whatever will get my mind off of it kind of works for me. I don't know what works for you, but that kind of works for me. But I kind of invite it because I've noticed a pattern in my life that anxiety comes right before something greater.
Right.
Like it's like the prep. Like
yeah.
Gotcha.
And it can mean so many things. It can mean some, like you said, like for me, when I get that feeling of like that, my heart doesn't race that fast. I just feel like a tingling all over my body and my palms get sweaty.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when that happens to me, I say a prayer too. I say like whatever is coming my way, may I be prepared for it. And I also ask myself, like, what am I doing? What's going on? Am I doing too much? Is this something that I'm doing? And if it's something that's coming, may I be prepared for it? And I just either close my eyes, meditate, or do yoga, whatever to help me.
What helps me is like,
or put music.
Yeah.
Do something creative too.
Okay.
What helps me a lot is go to the train and like take my the chains for the keys and put them in between the knuckles and walk between the carts.
Do not say
and walk. No, I'm serious. And I walk and I take walks because walks are good, but I take walks in between the carts with the keychains in between my knuckles. And
well, no, now you know if shit get real, put the key.
Yeah, that and it's and you pick the big key, right? The one that's
all the big keys.
Yeah. You'll be like, I'm ready.
And I'm like a super because I got mad keys. I'll be ready. Listen.
So we're gonna.
And I don't want no smoke, but if it comes, I'm ready.
So we're gonna go to the next and last segment. We have a stack of cards, and we just pull out the card. We don't know what card it is, and it has 2 questions. So I'm gonna ask question. The first question is, what is one thing you like to do that sets you up for a great day?
Oh, I like mantras, positive sayings. Like I have a dry erase board by my bed and I change the messages daily. Every day. And I repeat it to myself before I start my day. And that kind of sets the pace. Music sometimes, like depending on the music.
Okay.
And the last question is, if a crystal ball could tell you the truth about your life, the world, or anything else, what would you want to know?
Am I truly on my path? Like, am I truly in sync or am I just straddling the line? You know what I mean? I want to know, like, am I in the center of that path or am I just coming to the path?
Well, that's easy to find out. Just call Guru. I'll give you the number.
Guru will tell you right away. And I feel like you know the answer to that.
And she kind of told me, but you know.
Yeah.
You
But I
always
feel
have
like-
your
yeah. I feel like you know the answer too.
yeah, that's true.
Honestly.
That's true.
Well, I want to ask one more question before we
Sure.
go. On top of that is where what do you want to reach in the next couple of months in this silence that you've been in?
Wholeness.
Mm.
Just to be whole and let go of the fear. Like let go of the fear
I'm sorry. What?
Wait, let her talk.
of people, of places, of things. Because I have this fear. Now I came back to the city and it's not like a fear like I can't go outside, but it's a fear of what if? What if that takes me there? What if I go back? What if like I'm not here for that? So I become super cocoonish and I want to kind of open myself a little bit only because I feel like I can't live life like that forever. Nobody can get anywhere by themselves. You know what I mean? You kind of need, is that true or not?
You need connection.
Like you need the village. You need some type of, so I just want to focus on building a healthier village. Like I ran into Dragon at a local bakery and I was like, Dragon, anything, you got to let me know. Pull me in. Because I'm like, you my brother.
Yeah. I think that's
Help
great.
Me. Save me.
That's great. And that's beautiful. And I'm
That's
going
a great way to
ruin
end
that
it.
moment because when I
No.
asked that question and she said
That's right.
wholeness, I didn't hear the LE. I'm like, okay, Oni,
No,
you
you
are.
didn't.
I was like, Oni,
In my
you
past
are
life,
really.
in my past life.
No, but what I'm saying, I was like, Oni, you are really lonely right now because I didn't. The LE didn't catch through the thing, so it's just sound like wholeness, and that's why I started laughing.
I was like, she said it.
And he did the hands too. I didn't get it.
That she was like wholeness. I was like, man, you really lonely these days. Okay.
Damn,
but,
Oni.